Hello everyone, and welcome back to MMTV's weekly news program. In today's segment, we're going to dive into the growing international attention on Myanmar's situation and the ongoing challenges the country faces internally. Our aim is to provide a comprehensive overview of Myanmar's domestic conditions. I'm Quentin Covington, and I'll be presenting the key events and news stories from this past week. Let's begin with the headlines. First, ABSDF leadership meets with the NUG defense minister and the allied groups to discuss military operations. NUG and revolutionary forces reach consensus on transitional period constitutional framework. NUG Foreign Minister Dazin Maong attends Munich Security Conference of 2025. NUG Prime Minister urges unity and caution amid military regime's tactics. NUG Minister Nasusana Plalaso meets with labor union leaders in Japan. Raise of Hope Safe House in Maysel extends housing support for activists and CDMers to 6 months. IIMM urges territorial authorities in Myanmar to uphold responsible governance. And lastly, political prisoner dies in Mandalay Obo prison due to lack of adequate medical care. Now, let's take a deeper look at each of these stories, starting with the ABSDF leadership meeting with the NUG defense minister and allied groups to discuss military operations. The ABSDF, led by Chairman U Tan Khe, met with leaders from various allied organizations, including the NUG's Minister of Defense, to discuss military operations. The All Burma Students Democratic Front, or ABSDF, held a series of meetings with U Yimon, the Defense Minister of the National Unity Government, alongside leaders of allied groups and local community representatives. They discussed the evolving political and military landscape in Myanmar. Additionally, Chairman U Tan Khe, Vice Chairman U La Sai, and Central Military Commission Secretary U La Te visited key ABSDF military bases, including columns number 1, 2, and 3, where they engaged with commanders and soldiers to strategize military operations. Next, the NUG and revolutionary forces reached consensus on transitional period constitutional framework. The National Unity Government and revolutionary groups have reached an agreement on fundamental principles guiding the drafting of a constitutional framework for the transitional period, according to U Chaozo, spokesman for the president's office.
ကျွန်တော်တို့အကြားမှာအသွင်ကူးပြောင်းရေးကာလဖွဲ့စည်းပုံအခြေခံဥပဒေရေးဆွဲရေးဆိုင်ရာအခြေခံသဘောထားအယူအဆများနဲ့အသွင်ကူးပြောင်းရေးကာလဖွဲ့စည်းပုံအခြေခံဥပဒေတွင်အခြေခံရမယ့်သဘောထား concept များကိုသဘောတူညီမှုများရရှိထားပြီးဖြစ်ပါတယ်။ပြည်내အားကောင်းရေးကိုရှေ့ရှုတဲ့ bottom up federalism approach နဲ့တော်လှန်ရေးကာလဂျားကာလမှာစတင်ပြီးတော့အတူတကွတိဆောက်သွားနိုင်ရန်သဘောတူညီချက်ရရှိထားတဲ့အလျောက်အနာဂတ် Federal Democracy ပြည်တော်စုတည်ဆောက်မှုကိုထိထိရောက်ရောက်ဖော်ဆောင်နိုင်ရန်အတွက် Federal အသွင်ကူးပြောင်းရေးအစီအမံများဆိုင်ရာအခြေခံ The Articles of Federal Transitional Arrangement After ကိုကျွန်တော်တို့တွေဆွေးနွေးရေးဆွဲနေကြပြီဆိုတာတင်ပြပြောကြားအပ်ပါတယ်။
During an online press briefing on Tuesday, U Chaozo stated that with the momentum of the Spring Revolution, ongoing discussions between the NUG and revolutionary forces have resulted in a consensus on key concepts for the transitional constitution. According to the presidential office spokesperson, these principles will serve as the foundation for the future framework. A major component of this agreement is the adoption of a bottom-up federalism approach to empower states. Quote, "This framework will lay the groundwork for a federal democratic union. We are now actively drafting the federal transitional arrangement to ensure a smooth transition." The NUG reaffirmed its commitment to supporting civil disobedience movement participants, allocating 3 billion jets in honorariums for health CDM workers in collaboration with the Ministry of Health in 2024. Additionally, 200 million jets from the Spring Lottery, Mwe Yuti, have been dedicated to supporting other CDM civil servants, while 5.5 billion jets have been allocated for medical supplies, humanitarian aid, and strengthening alliances. Next, NUG Foreign Minister Dazin Maong attends Munich Security Conference of 2025. Dazin Maong, the Foreign Minister of the NUG, attended the Munich Security Conference in 2025 in Germany on February 15th. During a panel discussion on global democracy trends, she highlighted Myanmar's precarious position among nations resistant to democratic governance. Stressing the need for international support, she emphasized Myanmar's fight for independence and democracy.
China is our neighbor. Actually, our country is located not just only near China, but also India, bordering India. But in this regard, China is much more actively engaged and concerned about what is happening in Burma because of their economic interest and strategic interests are in through our country, like way out to the the oceans. So, and also their landlocked state like Yunnan province is quite dependent on our northern part of Myanmar in terms of the economically and culturally, socially is very much connected. So that is why, even though initial time of the military coup 2021, China is actually not very much happy about the military coup because China needs stability in order to continue as economics as usual.
She also addressed the increasing transnational crimes along Myanmar's borders under military rule, stating that these criminal networks are closely tied to the junta. Acknowledging regional concerns, she noted that many Burmese people feel that the Chinese government does not fully grasp their democratic aspirations. Panelists included U.S. Senator Christopher A. Coons, Ghanaian Parliament member Senator Agyemen Rawling, and Polish Parliament member Aleksandra Wisniewska. Next, NUG Prime Minister urges unity and caution amid military regime's tactics. NUG Minister Mawangkante warned against the military regime's divide and conquer strategies. During a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, he stressed the necessity of unity among resistance forces, cautioning that internal divisions could be exploited by the junta as seen in the past. He emphasized that all groups, ethnic armed organizations, pro-democracy movements, and human rights defenders must recognize the urgency of their cause and act decisively. He also warned that the junta is working to secure international recognition through ceasefire negotiations with ethnic armed groups in northern Shan State, facilitated by China. Next, NUG Minister Nasusana Hlalaso meets with labor union leaders in Japan. Nasusana Hlalaso, NUG's Minister for Women, Youth, and Children's Affairs, along with advisory member Dapshweswe Senla, met with Japanese labor union leaders on February 7th. The delegation held discussions with the Japanese Trade Union Confederation and the Japanese Association of Metal Machinery and Manufacturing Workers. Minister Nasusana Hlalaso expressed gratitude for their support and emphasized the need for continued collaboration of safeguards to the rights of Myanmar workers in Japan. Next, the Rays of Hope Safe House in Mae Sot extends housing support for activists and CDMers for 6 months. The Rays of Hope Safe House in Mae Sot, Thailand has extended its housing program from 3 to 6 months due to increased demand. Applications for the third round of residency are open until February 19th. Eligible applicants include CDM participants, their families, and those in urgent need of shelter. However, individuals who have previously stayed in another safe house for more than 3 months are ineligible. Since its launch in July of 2024, the program has housed and assisted 211 individuals funded by proceeds from the Rays of Hope documentary and public contributions. Next, IIMM urges territorial authorities in Myanmar to uphold responsible governance. Nicholas Kumjang, head of the International Independent Investigative Mechanism for Myanmar, or IIMM, urged regional authorities to uphold responsible governance amid allegations of war crimes in Rakhine State.
The evidence that we're gathering is not meant to simply gather dust in our archives. We want it to be used to affect the current situation, ultimately to bring accountability for those responsible for the crimes, but also to help the situation in any way possible, and to make any potential perpetrator aware and cognizant of the fact that someone is watching. We're collecting the evidence. If they commit the crimes, we will be documenting it, and someday they may be held to account. The people that give us the evidence often take enormous risk. We're in contact with people even inside the country, and we're very grateful to them for their courage in coming forward and sharing evidence with us. Again, I want to thank the European Union for your support. We need your help in this battle to end impunity and build lasting peace in Myanmar.
Speaking at the European Parliament, Kum Jian emphasized the difficulty of holding perpetrators accountable due to ongoing crimes. The IIMM continues to provide evidence for international legal proceedings, including those related to the Rohingya genocide at the ICC and ICJ. And lastly, political prisoner dies in Mandalay's Obo prison due to lack of adequate medical care. Da San Yi, a 65-year-old political prisoner, died in Obo prison, Mandalay on February 10th due to inadequate medical treatment. She had been serving a 22-year sentence under the counterterrorism law since April of 2021. Reports indicate a severe shortage of medical supplies in Myanmar's prisons, leading to multiple deaths. In 2025 alone, 4 political prisoners have died due to lack of health care. In 2024, 31 prisoners lost their lives under similar conditions. As of February 20th, 2025, over 21,000 people remain detained since the coup, with more than 10,000 serving sentences. That concludes this week's key events. As Myanmar continues its struggle for democracy and human rights, we urge the global community to support efforts towards freedom and justice. Thank you for watching MMTV News. Stay tuned for more updates, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.